Okay, so 5:01, and it's Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2019. We're going to go ahead and get set up on the week 5, that's hard to believe, week 5 Zoom session meeting. Still getting a little settled in here, so please bear with me for just 1 second. Excuse me. Pardon. I'm showing you the screen for LDR 340 right now. As you can see up top, I've highlighted that our women's soccer has won Conference Carolinas championship, and that means they're going to go on to play in the national championship for our division level of school, which is phenomenal. So congratulations to the University of Mount Olive women's soccer. That's awesome. Okay, so let me take a look at the mail. Nothing there, and we're back at our screen. Okay, so again, a reminder. You have access to all my slides for LDR 300. At this point, you should pretty much have a good feel for what you were originally taught and able to find out where it's at. We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and start diving deep, a little bit more deeper into our text. I'm holding it up right now, your case study handbook. Okay. Now that we've read some additional chapters, and you've got a little better feel for it. So week number 5, as you can see on the screen, student articles discussion, student articles, both are in there. Again, you're going to do your article. You're going to post it to the student article of your choice so that I can grade it. And then you're going to post it in the discussion, student articles, week number 5, so that we can discuss it. And you can get a couple of your fellow students to weigh in and cover with you. All right. So again, who is the protagonist? And then you're going to tell me if you're handling this as a problem, a decision, diagnosis, or an evaluation. Okay, this all depends on how you look at it. Okay, again, any article could have a mix of these, and it's how you decide to go through your analysis. But in the main, what I'm after now is use what you've been taught, okay, and what you've read in your handbook. Okay, so as you go through and you've just had the midterm, I'm going to cover that here in just a little bit. But the idea here now is start using the analytical techniques that you've been taught in that textbook and start bringing those into your articles and the instructor articles. Leadership challenge or challenges has not changed. Again, the basis of which goes back to LDR 300. An analysis of those challenges based on what you learned. That means you dive into those challenges a little deeper and then just a surface. Okay, as an example, a leadership challenge may be crisis communication, and you say, well, they got to learn to communicate better. Well, that doesn't quite get there. Okay, let's act like we've gone through a undergraduate level course and can pull apart crisis leadership a little bit more. So communication and crisis leadership means probably more face-to-face. You're probably not just sending out a text. Crisis communication probably talks to your being a firm, moral leader, one of integrity, and that you appear calm and that you're communicating a vision for the future. So all those things is what we're after, trying to pull in, okay? And then how leadership should respond to challenge. Okay, your article this week excuse me, is a story about Paula Kerger. Paula Kerger took over as CEO of Public Broadcasting Service, PBS, in 2006, and she's been doing it for a number of years, fairly successful. Okay, so again, who's the protagonist? I would say probably Paula Kerger. Okay, but you may look at this article and think somebody else. If that's the case, then go for it. All right, in this, we're taking a look at her leadership role. So in part, this really starts to sound like an evaluation, doesn't it? We're going to evaluate and see if she is or is not an effective leader. Okay, as your text told you, what is the criteria you're going to use to make that evaluation? Okay, so that criteria could be any of the leadership principles. Okay, an effective leader has to use an appropriate leadership style. An effective leader has to be a moral leader. An effective leader has to communicate. An effective leader has to know her organization. An effective leader has to understand basic motivational techniques. These are all criteria that you're using to render a judgment that she is or is not an effective leader. Do you see what I'm getting at? Okay? Don't make this harder than it is. You can do it. All right? Okay. So let's go from there. And let me just talk to you a little bit about the announcement here that I just posted today, week 4 follow-up. Okay, so as I read here to you, it sounds like everybody's hit the rhythm. Some good work, real good work out there. Keep it coming. Hey, listen, everybody did a good job on that quiz. I was really proud of you. Okay, a lot of you put the effort in. It shows. A couple of you and I have had some conversations, so I know that you put the time in. And I'm going to cover here just a little bit the questions. There were a couple questions that caught a few of you, but on the main, nobody had any significant issues that I could see, except a couple of you that ran out of time. Remember, I've said it up front. You got to give yourself that hour. Okay, have it done by 1500, 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Doesn't mean you start it at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Okay, because you're gonna lose out. All right, but I think we've addressed it. As I said, if more than half of you, and almost 3/4 of you, quite frankly, miss a particular question, then I will consider reviewing that question and then either tossing it or making some sort of adjustment. As it appears to me, we didn't have that issue here. In other words, we didn't have one particular question that caused half of you to miss. A couple of you did miss a couple questions, and like I said, I'll cover those here in just a minute. All right? Okay, a word about the final paper. As I said, you're treating this company or organization as a case study. I'll show the slide and make sure everybody remembers who you said you're writing on. Up front, you need to figure out if you're treating this analysis as a decision, an evaluation, or a problem diagnosis. Okay, each has its own requirements for analysis that you'll want to follow. As you've read in your text, each has a unique form in which to write the analysis. And those chapters you'll be reading here in the next week or so. Okay, now just understand that even though they give you a template and they show you a lot of things, you're not going to show me all that work. Okay, you do the analysis, okay, and then based on that, write your paper so that you can effectively cover and answer the areas highlighted in the instructions. Okay, in other words, don't show me your work. Okay, have done all that analysis. You've got the answers based on the template and how the text tells you to address it. And then I want you to give me an introduction to the study. I want you to describe the company and the current issues to be analyzed. Keep that very short because I have read about the company, okay, because you told me. You're going to identify importance of various elements for the organization, including, okay, So at a minimum, I want you to touch on organizational culture, organizational structures, leadership styles, and the ethical climate. Okay? Analyze the leadership issues and approaches used by the leaders, predominantly the CEO, your protagonist. Explain the importance of the type of leadership concepts used in the case. So I want you to identify, some things that they are doing well or not doing well, and then tell me about it. So in culture, you realize there's the culture we see that we can observe, and then we have the culture that is unseen, but we know it's there. Okay, so talk to me about that, and then conclusions, recommendations. All right, that's week 8 stuff. I'll send the rubric out on how I'm going to grade the paper. You won't see any major surprises. All right. So let's go to the slides, and let me cover with you what we have going on. All right. So first off, on the screen, you should see 20 Habits of Eventual Millionaires. This is a really great slide. I really like it. I think you should keep this because I think it's 20 Habits of Eventual Leaders. All right. Say no. Okay. You'll have more time to do the things you need to do if you learn to say no more. Love. Make mistakes. Plant seeds. Be around people who are kind to you and love you. Okay. All these things map out, and you can see them. They're numbered. Now, it's kind of funny. It says it's 1 through 18 numbered, and it says, wait, I thought there were 20. And they really just give you the number 19, which is the secret of success is give yourself permission to sometimes be wrong. Okay, so it's kind of clever. Instead of 20 habits, it gives you 19. Counting that 19 as, being able to say you're wrong or sometimes make a mistake. All right. On the right-hand side of that slide, you see 212 degrees, the extra degree, okay? And what I'm trying to say here is that at 211 degrees, water is hot. Add that extra degree at 212, it boils. That means it becomes steam. All right, now 1 extra degree makes the difference because steam powers the world. Okay? Steam moves aircraft carriers. Steam moves trains. Okay, and so with 1 extra degree, you can move a lot. And so that's what I'm getting at here is trying to get you to take that extra degree, that extra step. Try to push beyond your comfort zone, as LDR 300 taught you. All right. So midterm exam, it was timed. You got 1 shot at it. Let's see, it took the fastest, took somebody 11 minutes, 24 seconds. The slowest person was 59 minutes, 47 seconds. So average was 34 minutes. So it sounds like he had enough time, right? So unless I hear otherwise, I'll keep it to an hour. That gives you, I think, enough time. So 1 shot, don't get interrupted. Nobody informed me that they had been. So I'm assuming it didn't happen. So good on you for that. You have plenty of time if you paid attention. In other words, if you didn't read your case study handbook and haven't been participating in class, you're going to have some issues. Okay? There are 10 true, false, 10 best answer. Okay? Not multiple guess, not multiple choice. You're looking for the best answer. Okay? I don't think there were any sneaky tricks in it. I don't design my quizzes to do that. And I don't think you found any. But again, if somebody had an issue with the question, let me know. It covered forum discussions in chapters 1 through 6. There were no case studies, and I don't think I put any, no, I didn't put any questions from the case study coach in the midterm, okay? Because I don't think all of you were taking it or have even bought Okay, that's at your risk. I can guarantee you there will be some questions from the case study coach on the file. Just a word to the wise. Okay, and then it was open book, open notes, but not open neighbor. In other words, I didn't want any of you collaborating with each other. You take it on your own. But with an open book exam, you shouldn't have had any problems. And as we look at it, a lot of you did great. All of you did great, actually. A lot of you did phenomenally well. Okay. Split, about 10 of you scored an A, counted as 95 or above. The 2 of you an A minus. I think there might be actually an A in there somewhere, because A minus covers from 90 to 93, does it not? Anyway, 4 B pluses, 1 B, and then rounded out to 2 C pluses and 2 C's, okay? Doesn't look like how much time you spent on the exam translated into a grade. In other words, the person that took the longest got about the same grade as the person that took the fastest. So it all kind of came out in the wash, it appears. All right, the questions missed on the left-hand side of the screen shows you that 2 missed question 1. I find that hard to believe, but okay. None for question 2, and then on down. And so question 7, 7 of you missed. Questions 11 and 12, I say 6 missed here and there. In other words, it looked like some of you kind of rushed through it, and you picked an answer and you didn't pick the best answer, but you still got some partial credit. So that number could probably come down a bit. So number 14, 8 of you missed. We'll have to take a look at that one here in the review. And then back down to 1s, and yeah, there's a 3 in there for number 16 and 2s. Okay. So overall, pretty good. So let's remember number 7 and 14. What was number 14? Number 14 was a best answer, and it said, how many steps or questions does the author give you as the case reading process? All right, well, case reading process is on pages 23 to 24. Let me tee that up here real fast. And okay, so pages 23, 24, it says case reading process, and he numbers them 1 through 8. All right. Not sure what else I could say on that. The answer was 8. Okay. And that was the best answer because the author gave you 8 steps because he numbered them 1 through 8. All right. Question number 7. The analysis of a decision scenario has 4 distinct elements: definition of the problem, diagnosis through cause, oh my goodness, overall diagnosis, and recommended actions. Well, if we're looking at the problem and we're making a diagnosis, then that isn't a decision scenario. That is a problem diagnosis scenario. So the answer would be false on it. So again, you just got to be careful what you read, okay, and know what the 3 are, okay? What's funny is you all did pretty good. Okay, so the lecture model is good for transferring information. Lectures can teach you what to think, but not how to think. Yeah, because the bottom line is a lecture is all about just giving you the information. So if I wanted you to think on a particular issue, I would make it a lecture. If I wanted you to learn how to think it through, then I wouldn't use the lecture format. We'd use Socratic method. Anyway, that comes right out of your text on page 6. Okay, Number 3, your instructor continues to emphasize that the fundamental relationship, the one that matters most, is between your statement of a conclusion and the evidence used to support it. I hope everybody got that one right. No. Yeah, well, a couple of you did. All right. Everybody got case method student right? Good. 5 and 6, cases require active readers. Yep, good. When you analyze a case, evidence is information that supports a position. Good. Okay. Questions 11 and 12. So 11, the text informs you that in order to perform its intended function, a case must contain the following characteristics. Significant business issue or issues, yeah, it has to have that. Sufficient information on which to base conclusions, it has to have that. Doesn't tell you have all the information, but sufficient information, okay? No objective conclusion, in other words, no explicit or implied right answer, yep. They're not going to give you the answer in a case study. A nonlinear organization, meaning how the case is presented. It's going to tend to jump a little bit, okay? It's not going to give you the classic storyline of a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then E, all of these are characteristics, or none of these are characteristics. Well, the answer would be E, all of these. Okay. With cases being not unlike a jigsaw puzzle, you need to change how you read and ultimately how you think. You must be able to take the pieces and fit them into a pattern that helps you understand. Yeah, that's why I'm asking you. Identify the protagonist. In other words, change how you're reading and start to analyze, okay? And then take the pieces and start fitting in a pattern, beginning with who the protagonist is and what he or she has to do. Be comfortable with less than perfect information and an irreducible level of uncertainty. Yep. No, you're not going to get all the information. If you try, you're going to be very frustrated. So some of it, you have to make some assumptions. Some of it, you have to kind of I believe, but a lot of it is, after you've studied leadership, you know when you see it. You may not necessarily have all the facts, but there's going to be enough in there to let you know that that protagonist is or is not an effective leader. Okay? Filter the noise of the irrelevant and relatively unimportant. Okay, that's really key. Some of you are having a hard time on that. Okay, if you're following an analysis and you're going down a certain road, then there's going to be some information in that article that isn't going to be of much use to you. Don't try to fit it all in. Focus on your analysis and whether you're doing a problem diagnosis, a decision, or an evaluation, and then go from there. Okay, if you try to fit every little bit of information into the context of your response, you're going to be very frustrated. Focus on key tasks that allow you to put pieces together into a meaningful pattern, allows you to gain better understanding of the main issue, and put you in a position to make impactful recommendations. Give us some meat, okay? This is what I mean by depth. Get into it, and so that when you tell me, here's what I think the protagonist should be doing, that it hits me and I get it, okay? Again, it's got to be more than, well, it has to be a better leader. Okay, you know, that's not an impactful recommendation. The protagonist needs to be a better leader by changing leadership style, focus on transformational leadership, and understanding concepts of servant leadership. Good, now we're getting there, okay? You see what I'm getting at, okay? All right. Number 15, decision analysis includes the following except, okay, well, I give you all the decision analysis. So basically, you've got the right answer right there. Except, leave it up to the boss to decide what to do. Okay. That was pretty clear, okay? That's not part of the decision analysis. Decision analysis, you're the one coming up with what to do. Okay, question 19 had to do with John Cotter's 8 steps. 19, how did everybody do on that one? Oh, good. Okay, only one of you missed it. Well, good. You picked up on Cotter. That's exactly what we wanted you to do. Number 20, Google's attempts. Good. That was all these are 5 characteristics. How's everybody doing that? Not as good, but okay. Everybody got through there. All right. I think that about covers the quiz. Again, a good job. If any of you have a specific that you want to talk to me about, then I'd be happy to address that with you. Okay, so on the weekly case analysis trends. All right, abstract. Some of you are giving me an abstract. Some of you are not. If you are giving me one, I appreciate your extra effort. I think it's smart. You're getting a chance to work through it. On the weekly cases, it's not a requirement to put an abstract in. The final paper, APA style, generally calls for an abstract. And remember, abstract is a concise summary of what you say in your paper, not what you're going to say. It's not a table of contents laying out in this section I'll discuss. It is a concise statement of what you found. Okay, in there, you need to have your position statement. Okay, in there should be possible implications of your research. And it should be about 150 to 250 words, which means you don't have a whole lot of room. Okay, it's got to be very concise. Okay. All right, what is it? Is this a problem diagnosis, a decision, or evaluation? Okay, include your position statement. I'm going to start hitting you on it because I let the first couple weeks go by, but this is going to be important. Okay, and I've sent out in my feedback to you the last couple of turnarounds. You will have seen it. I'll show you some slides here in just a second. But start working on your position statement. Okay, it's your thesis statement. It's bold. It's decisive. That means there shouldn't be any type of I would like to, it seems, one wonders. That is all passive voice, okay? We're gonna be bold. We're leaders here. We're teaching leadership, okay? And then proofread, okay, on the weekly cases. Some of you are not proofreading, and it shows, okay? Remember, just spell checking, Microsoft is gonna catch misspelled words and grammar errors. It's not gonna catch improper use of words, words that are spelled correctly, but aren't the ones that you meant, okay? All right. So, problem essay. You present arguments that consist of content favorable to your position. Decision essays. Okay, you may talk about your recommendations downside, but it's generally just a very small portion. You're there to help them make the decision. And evaluation essays. You're to include factors that don't necessarily support. That's that qualifier that we talked about, okay? And what we mean to say by that is even though if we're saying a position statement of our protagonist is not an effective leader, then you would hammer home those pieces of evidence that support your case that they are not an effective leader. Okay, well, there may be some qualifiers in there to where the person is showing promise, okay? Even though the protagonist is a nice guy, he is not an effective leader because, or even though our protagonist had initial success, he is now not an effective leader, blah, blah, blah. See what we're getting, okay? All right, my slide is showing you all the organizations that we're writing on. There's a couple of you that are writing on the same organization. I'm okay with that. I want to make sure that you don't try to collaborate, make it your own paper. I'm confident that you all will. A couple of you have picked out your own organization, not one that's necessarily going to show up in the Wall Street Journal. That's great. It's going to be difficult, but I I think you've got a good handle on it, and you'll be able to do a good job. I look forward to reading what you come up with. Okay, so let's take a stab at this position statement, okay? And this all comes out of your case study handbook. All right, a position statement is going to be the same as a thesis statement. It's a roadmap for the paper, okay? It's going to tell your reader what to expect from you, okay? It helps you figure out where you're going with your paper. Generally, it's a single sentence. Generally, it's in the first paragraph that presents your argument to the reader. It is also going to show up restated in your conclusion. So up front, you're going to say, here's my position statement. I'm going to tell you that the protagonist is an effective leader because she knows her organization, she can communicate, and she's got morals. In the conclusion, it'll say, my paper has just finished. It is apparent by the arguments I presented that the protagonist is an effective leader because ... You see what's happening. Okay? The position statement is evidence of that relationship, that one that matters the most, between your conclusion and the evidence for it. Okay? So if a thesis is what you plan to argue and how you plan to argue it, then a position statement is identical. It is your conclusion and the evidence you're going to use. Okay? It becomes important because if you have a sharply focused position statement, then it's going to organize your essay. Okay? Without one, your essay may not have any purpose or direction. Okay? And I'm going to call that yondering. Yondering is basically taking two words. Okay? We know what yonder is, okay, an objective somewhere, and the word wandering. All right? In other words, I'm kind of getting there to my objective. Okay? So if we're saying yondering, it means I'm going to sort of get somewhere somehow, sometime. Okay? So without a position statement, you're going to go yondering. Now, I read a lot of papers, as an instructor will. Okay? And I can assure you, I can tell when somebody doesn't really have an idea of what they're trying to say, and it's all stream of consciousness. It shows, okay? If you haven't taken the time to organize your paper, if you haven't thought through what you're going to write, and what is even more humorous is when somebody writes a paper up front that says the person is not an effective leader, and at the end essentially says he is an effective leader. It's one of those, okay, you just did a 180 here. All right. So how do you do this? All right, well, again, you start with who is your protagonist. You're going to identify, is this a decision, an evaluation, or problem diagnosis? And do your analysis. And then once you've done that, you are ready to take a position. Okay? So in the case of this week's instructor article, you're going to find out, I just changed my slide, that the protagonist is, in my case here, the CEO of PBS, Ms. Paula Kerger. And as I looked at that article, I decided, okay, we're going to make an evaluation. We're going to take a position. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see I've got one of two choices. I can either argue that Ms. Paula Kerger is an effective leader, my evaluation of her, or she is not an effective leader, my evaluation of her. All right, well then we need to figure out what is our evidence, okay? What is the criteria that we're going to use? Well, the first is, let's gather our evidence. So what are some examples of where we see some leadership from Ms. Paula Kerger? Number one, the 61-year-old Ms. Kerger has steered the public broadcaster into the digital era. She also canceled the talk shows of Mr. Rose and Smiley after sexual harassment allegations surfaced against both men. Hey, that's leadership. Okay, so that comes in. She was ready to answer when asked, what's your explainer cocktail parties? In other words, an elevator pitch. Okay, any member of the organization should be able to describe the organization, particularly if it relies on donations, which PBS does, in 5 minutes or less, okay? Elevator pitch, being able to pitch an idea to somebody or an organization or a thought in less than 2 to 5 minutes to the degree that that person comes back and either supports you or wants to hear more, okay? Quote, the reason Ken Burns is on public broadcasting is the way he works, the way we work. We've always had a whistleblower structure. We are explicit in that we expect people to abide by the same principles and values of PBS. It starts to sound like a moral leader, right? 4, you do have to have certain assumptions about how your organization works and how people within it behave. We've looked at all of our practices and the way we deal with our producers to make sure everyone understands what we expect people to operate. Again, that's demonstrating effective leadership in my book. And then I went into your DAF text, okay? And you remember you talked in the DAF text, you covered a lot about female leaders, and it defines a female leader who's rated as having more idealized influence, brings more inspirational motivation, more individually considerate, and offers more intellectual stimulation. Sounds like Ms. Kruger is all that. So I'm going to write now, see I've changed that to blue. I'm going to write PBS CEO, Ms. Kruger is an effective leader because I have essentially 3 to 5 things in here that I can use and I could kind of mend together in an effective way to back up my statement that she is an effective leader. So I'm going to take something out of number 1, something out of number 2, and number 4. See, I've color-coded this. An effective leader, she demonstrates the qualities, LDR 300 DAP text, and that she has a vision, is able to implement, okay? Ms. Carter steered the broadcaster in the digital era. That meant she had a vision and she implemented it, right? Okay. She can explain and communicate her organization's mission with efficiency. Okay, again, an elevator pitch is efficient. Okay? And she knows her organizational culture while enforcing the code of ethics on all employees. Okay, when she canceled the talk shows of Rose and Smiley, that is cutting into your bottom line. They were very popular talk show hosts. Okay, but they violated code of conduct. She got rid of them. So, do you see what we did here? Okay. All right. I hope so. That about is it. Okay, we're at 5:39. So I'm going to go ahead and get us back to our screen. And I'm going to show you a quick video and then I'm going to sign us off.
Emma.
Hold on, I'll start again. Here we go.
Emma. 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 Emma.
Nouveau le trèfle maxifal, vraiment plus large.
Paper's not dead. I thought that was just fun. All right. Again, wish everybody well. Thank you for joining, or I guess you didn't join, but thank you for watching if you look at this way. I wish everybody a good week and look forward to seeing your posts tomorrow and getting back in to finish up the rest of this course. Take care.